The Fantasy Footballers Studio is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in.
It is football time.
It is.
It's the holiday. You got to get all, what is that? Dickensy.
Okay. I got where you...
Esque.
Yes.
You have to deliver the "tis football time" without laughing at your own joke in it, like in the middle of it.
I'm just being joyous, man.
No, it is. I mean, it's what, sugar plums and, decking the halls and getting all Dickensy,
And
as you would say.
football time.
I am enjoying the Christmas season now that it is officially the Christmas season.
I'm not. And that is wildly upsetting.
Is that because Santa left you Brees Hall under your tree?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a naughty boy. I just don't know what it is.
I can tell you what it is.
Okay, please.
It's 80 freaking degrees in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, that might be part of it. It just doesn't feel like it's here yet. And we're a week in, man.
Yeah. It's very difficult to dream of a white Christmas when you're out there in a tank top and flip-flops.
Yeah.
I know people that move here. Most people that move from the snow are very happy to be here all the time. Everybody that I've known from the Midwest much prefers here than the snow and dealing with that stuff. But they all miss a white Christmas. Yeah. They all miss the seasons changing. I don't know what a season is. I've heard about it. I've read about it.
I was just talking to my son about it. He's like, "Is this winter?" I was like, "Yeah, it's winter." And he's like,
it's not winter.
I know, and that's what I was saying. I was like, well, see, here's the thing. Most of the country has 4 seasons. In Arizona, we don't. So maybe it's, what is it, fall right now? There's no such thing as fall here.
December 21st is the official start of winter.
That's when it hits 79. 79 degrees on December 21st. All right, welcome in, one and all. Happy to be back with you today. The two best friends filled in yesterday for me.
Man.
And I don't know how it went because I didn't listen.
You don't have to listen, but I got at least 6 DMs. Best show in the history of the footballers.
Yeah.
They were mostly from me. But he did get. I give him a lot of DMs.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
we did during show.
We're like, that's fine.
This is going.
Dude, you were hilarious.
You going so well.
You have to do stand-up. Starts of the week, the fantasy forecast today, the Parlay Partay, NFL news to talk about. We had the waivers, the big-time Week 14 waivers go through in all of our leagues yesterday. People fighting for Isaac Guerrero.
And that's after how many waiver shows? We're like, the waiver show is kind of like, sorry, everybody. It's our fault.
It's it's going to be a very interesting end of the fantasy season heading into the NFL playoffs, or the fantasy playoffs, and we're here to help you out. So a reminder, the weekly rankings, the start sit tool, and the ultimate dashboard all can be found at thefantasyfootballers.com. The communities, jointhefoot.com. You can follow us on X at the FF Ballers. You can follow Jason at JasonFFL. If you want Brees Hall tweets, you can follow Mike at FF Hitman. I'm at Andy Holloway. And you can follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/fantasyfootballers, and watch the show on YouTube. I told Jason briefly last year, I took the approach of a ballad. I needed a ballad for my fantasy.
It was Michael Bolton.
I went Michael.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The Distance.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I needed a kind of a rock ballad,
You did go to the distance.
Like this year you need a rock ballad, or go the distance as a rock ballad?
No, I didn't. Not a rock ballad. Just what do you call that? Like a
ballad?
Power ballad.
But a power ballad is a rock ballad.
What would you call that? Michael Bolton singing.
Maybe a pop ballad?
Okay, whatever. I needed that. I needed Michael Bolton last year.
Just saying,
and I told him this year, you got to send me some suggestions, because right now Josh Groban is taking He's the leader for my back-to-back attempt.
Wow. That's self-flagellation. Making yourself listen to Grobes?
Yeah.
Over and over?
Yeah. What? Look,
You're grobing yourself.
A fantasy championship is all that I care about.
Okay. So you're willing to punish yourself?
Yes.
Is it you raise me up? That's what you're going with?
I think that's the one that makes sense. But if you want to suggest something on par with Michael Bolton, let me know.
I would love for you to have to listen to You Raise Me Up every day. That will bring me joy. That will raise me up.
And a back-to-back title will bring me joy. Mike, you do what you got to do.
News and notes from around the league. Presented by USAA Insurance.
For Thursday Night Football this evening, the game you guys previewed yesterday, I assume, Romeo Doubs is out.
Yep, that one.
Yep,
got that one wrong.
Whoop! Swing and a miss.
Yesterday, you thought he'd play?
Well, he was limited.
You guys are so dumb.
It did seem like he was trending to pass concussion protocol. That was the latest information we had, but nope.
What's
he's
it seem
out.
like now?
I don't think he's going to play, but Josh Jacobs is off the injury report. Will play. No worries there.
Trevor Lawrence on IR with the concussion and the shoulder injury. The AC joint will get surgery. The Bucs practice report. Mike Evans. He didn't practice. Bucky Irving didn't practice. We'll follow up on both of those. They were both. Evans always got kind of Veterans Days, and then Bucky Irving literally was wrapped in mummy gauze going off the field. He says he felt better the day after. I think he'll be there. And Baker Mayfield is he's not going to miss the game. So he's a full practice. Ladd McConkey's limited. He's been playing through injury. They need him desperately. I imagine
super important game.
He was limited on Wednesday. I imagine he will play.
I do too.
Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson all didn't practice for the Bears, but I think we'll see.
What did the team do?
Took a break. I think Keenan, Moore, Swift, they'll play. I don't think Roschon will with the concussion. Dalton Kincaid, and Keon Coleman, both who we thought would come back last week. They did return to a limited practice on Wednesday, so they could be back out there. Kenneth Walker, limited, calf and ankle injury.
Classic Ken
Trying to give way to the Charbonne zone. Jake Ferguson practicing on Wednesday. This is a Monday Night Football game for Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson. The Schoon man had been active. Both guys are very, whoever's the tight end is very necessary in this offense,
Agreed.
although Brandon Cooks is back. And then Deontay Johnson, Mike, suspended for not going into the game when they wanted him to. So the Eagles game, the injury happens to Bateman. You have an opportunity to go play, and you don't go into the football game.
Get out there, Deontay.
I'm good. Thank you for the offer.
Yeah. I will pass.
Next time, next drive.
So he's suspended now. I mean, you're not going to see him out there.
No, they obviously we knew something was up with all the Harbaugh quotes of there's moving pieces and we've got to figure out what's going on with Deontay, and now that's what it was. It came out that they told him to go in and he didn't.
Was this he's like, oh, now you want me to play? Well, I'm not gonna.
Oh, I'll show you. Yeah.
Good work, Deontay.
I mean, this was something that you have been just repeating, that the vibes are so negative around Deontay Johnson, that there's something.
Does he not know he's in a contract year? You can go make yourself a bag of money that you need this offseason.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought of when I saw this was, if you could directly correlate it to a loss of money, how much would that be?
Yeah,
That's
lot.
exactly what I thought about.
Because if I'm another franchise,
is that a $5 million decision? Is that a $10 million decision?
If Deontay Johnson goes to Baltimore and balls out and looks great and is a good teammate and Baltimore makes a deep run at the playoffs, Deontay Johnson goes into the offseason and his agent goes and gets him a nice fat contract. Right now it's if I'm a GM, I'm going, I don't want to deal with the head case of Deontay Johnson.
Not unless there's something we're missing from the story, but I doubt it with an organization like Baltimore.
It's wild.
And Pittsburgh. So now you've got two well-run organizations that have said, no thanks.
That's the thing about Pittsburgh, which I'm not the first one to bring it up, but it's they have this superpower of really finding wide receivers in the draft. And somehow Mike Tomlin can handle these guys for gets production out of them for a few years, and then he's just I can't even more. I cannot with you anymore.
And he's been willing to tolerate Antonio Brown, Claypool, Pickens,
The list
Martavis
is massive.
Bryant. These are all wide receivers
crazy.
that are
Maybe that's their secret to drafting wide receivers. They look for the crazy ones. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have some diva in you.
You do.
And so in their scouting process, because we always give Pittsburgh a lot of credit, they just find these like second-round, really good quality wide receivers, and all they're doing is just looking up the dirt, and they're just trying to be like, what kind of trouble does this player get into? It's my kind of guy.
Like, hey, Deontay, who are the top 5 wide receivers? And he's like, Deontay? Deontay?
Yeah.
Deontay.
You're my guy.
I mean, clearly he's been upset about not being involved earlier. That's got to be connected. But that was today's news and notes presented by USAA Insurance. Learn more at usaa.com/insurance.
Starts of the week.
If Deontay can't find a home, we should sign him.
The footballers?
For the show?
I don't know. Maybe we bring him in here.
What if he says no? Like, and we're paying him.
Oh, and he doesn't go on
And
the
he's
air?
like, nah, pass.
He just walks out?
Then we got a guy who just may not do it. Then we have multiple guys who are like, I got to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going to have no one here. Oh, all 3 are there. All right.
three
Hey,
guys
the Deucers. Good for you.
Are
Who's
not-
got the poop trophy?
Right now it's Papa Josh.
Matt started wearing diapers, man.
Hey, good. Good. This guy's a team player.
We don't care.
Putting his body on the line.
We just want you here for 1
booty
hour
on
a
the
day.
line.
1 hour a day without pooping. Can you go 1 hour? That seems
yes.
doable. Is Josh answering me?
Actually, please stop making me think about it.
Okay. All right. Starts of the week this week. I guess my theme this week is guys that have let you down recently that you can forgive
Oh, redemption tour.
and forget. So last week was the Titanium Underpants tour, which worked out okay. This week I'm going redemption from a tough week. I'm going to go with a player here at quarterback. I'm going to start it off that will just make Jason further second guess his own decisions in League of Record. But I'm going Baker Mayfield against the Las Vegas Raiders. It was a tough week for Baker last week. He has slowed down over the last month. I've correlated that to Bucky Irving's success, and Baker's been banged up. But he's only got one top 12 performance since week 9, despite being still the quarterback 4 in points per game, 35 passing touchdown pace. This week is going to be very good for Baker, in my opinion.
Who?
Yeah, Laser. The Raiders' defense is bottom 10 in schedule-adjusted fantasy points allowed, completions allowed per game, expected points added per pass attempt. This is a really good matchup for Baker Mayfield. He has Mike Evans back, who has been delivering. And the Raiders are just kind of a wild card in production. Brock Bowers is unguardable, and Tampa struggles against the tight end. And Jacoby Myers has been getting targeted like crazy. Aiden O'Connell and this offense, they got close last week. So I think Baker is going to have to throw it, and I'm going to go Baker this week. All
right. I am going to play with some fire, and I'm doing this in our League of Record. I'm going to stay in the flames. I'm going to try to eat a W. I am having Jameis Winston as my start of the week this week. Playoffs have started for about 20% of everyone out there right now, because you got the guys that are locked into the playoffs, you got the guys that are locked out of the playoffs, and this is the last week for most leagues where the other people are fighting for it. And oftentimes you're in a win and get in. You're an underdog. That's the situation I'm in. Jameis Winston is volatile. He's holding a stick of dynamite, and you might need dynamite to overcome your matchup. That's the situation I'm in. Jameis games produce for fantasy 70 offensive plays per game in Jameis games. That's number 1 in the NFL.
That's absurd.
That is an insane number. 336 passing yards per game. That is number 1 in the NFL. He is averaging over 21 fantasy points per game and 44 pass attempts per game and 1.4 interceptions per game. I am actually praying for these pick sixes to keep coming.
So you're doing a counter prayer?
I'm canceling out Jameis's prayer. Keep these pick sixes coming so that we can have you back on the field keeping up. And the thing is like this isn't an easy matchup against Pittsburgh. And now we saw Jameis beat Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, but it wasn't a barn burner. I like that this is on the road. I like that this game is in Pittsburgh because I don't think the defense is going to be quite as good there. And that's what I want. I mean, we saw last week the craziest shootout between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers where there was like 100 points scored. And so if you're shooting for the moon, there's a guy available on waivers that can go out there and actually score 35 fantasy points. He can also absolutely destroy your week, but I need upside this week, so I am going with Jameis Winston as my start of the week.
Holy crap.
What's that?
I just saw Mike's.
Oh, look, I'm doubling up, baby.
Steel Underpants.
He was the stream of the week, and this week is wild with the bye weeks, and it's Will Levis.
Holy crap, I just heard Mike's.
Because I really do believe that Will Levis is a guy that you can turn to this week.
You only went Steel?
Yeah, because that's where my level of conviction is with Will Levis against Jacksonville, who are allowing 8 yards per pass attempt. For context, not only is that the highest in the NFL, but that will be tied for the 3rd highest of any team since 2004. The Jacksonville defense stinks, and Will Levis has been chucking the ball. We got Westbrook-Akine. That's one touchdown, right? Guaranteed.
At least.
Yeah, so minimum.
Probably only.
Minimum 1 touchdown here for Will Levis. And the Titans team is in a really good situation. The Jacksonville is just – there's stat after stat you could say. They're terrible.
I feel a little scared because I was you a week ago with a better player.
Yeah, you had C.J. Stroud.
I had C.J. Stroud against Jacksonville, and that did not work out. So I feel a little gun-shy there. I also know that Mac Jones is the starter, so I'm a little – it leads me into my running back start of the week because my interpretation of the game is Tony Pollard against Jacksonville. It's not Will Levis. It's that Mac Jones can't move the ball enough, and we can stop Will Levis from throwing whenever as soon as we get a little lead here. I think they'll lean on Pollard. I don't like saying that because I'm going to be facing him this week, but they're a 3.5 home favorite. He's averaging 20 opportunities a game. And, look, you talked about Jacksonville's defense. So I lean the Pollard side, but I think anytime you can get a favorite like this against a bad defense, it makes some sense that, look, Levis could be the beneficiary. I think it'll be Pollard, and I think it makes sense that they're going to win the ballgame.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Pollard's a great play. Isaac Guerendo, the waiver wire sensation, the fab dump extraordinaire, is my start of the week going up against Chicago. If you dumped all your fab, hopefully he's not just chilling on your bench. Put him in. Start him. He's going to be fine. He's not just a random 3rd and actually 4th string backup from nowhere, which he was the 4th string, to start the year. This is a guy who we talked about it. He has a 100th percentile speed score. His weight and speed are outstanding, and you've seen it in the limited action he's got this year. He's averaging 5.9 yards per carry. Kyle Shanahan's system has a long and storied history of backups at the end of the year coming in and winning people championships. It's happened so many times.
We talked about it a lot on Monday, I think,
it's
Tuesday.
crazy. And if you look at this specific matchup, the Bears defense, they're good, but they're much better in the passing game than the running game. The running defense is not that good. They're 27th in EPA per rush attempt, 25th in rushing yards per game, 31st in adjusted yards before contact. That one is the most exciting one for a guy like Guerendo. If you're able to open up lanes for a guy with the 100th percentile speed score, see ya. So that's my official take on Isaac Guerendo this week.
And sound effect.
Okay, thank you so much.
That wasn't me. That was Guerendo.
Okay.
Just
he was that.
That's
he was
how fast?
Yeah, broke the sound barrier. It had to travel here.
Sounded more cartoony, to be honest. The sound barrier is very loud.
I'm
That was a bad comment.
No, it was so far away. He's not here.
Yeah, okay.
This was just like
you're
the
still digging.
aftershock. Oh, yeah.
Still
I'm-
digging.
It's a sonic boom that is in California or
That's right.
wherever.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
I'll dig this thing to China, man. Just give me a shovel.
Sounded like the Roadrunner.
I'm going with Tyrone Tracy against the Saints. I'm not calling him to be a top 12 guy or anything like that this week, but He has been producing, and it's been weird because the dude loves to fumble. However, he went right back to being the primary guy for the New York Giants, where 2 weeks ago against Tampa, 41% of the snaps, he seemed like he was being punished. Right back to 73% of the snaps. He was their full-time guy. I don't think he was the starter, but he was the main guy for them. And then the Saints matchup, they're tied for dead last in yards per carry allowed, and they're 30th in schedule adjusted points to the running back position. I think that Tracy should score this week.
I'll make it quick here. It is a redemption opportunity for Darnell Mooney, who has been bad the last 2 weeks because
you got to talk to Kirk.
Because Kirk Cousins has been horrendous, and the matchup is great. Minnesota is dead last in schedule-adjusted fantasy points given up to wideouts. They play too high safety. This is an area where Mooney has better numbers than London against too high safety, and they're going to need to score points in this game. I think it'll get better for Atlanta's receivers in this game, and I think Mooney needs the confidence boost here on the air when you're freaked out to play him on a week full of bye weeks where Westbrook-Akine and MVS and these players are getting chucked into lineups. No, just go back to the guy that showed you he could deliver early in the year. I'm going to go with Mooney.
I understand what you're saying. I am one of those people. I'm scared. I went back and watched every Kirk Cousins snap.
You can't be not scared. If you watch that, you have to be scared.
Well, it's the type of passes that Mooney was succeeding at earlier in the year where you've got that zone he's sitting in 15, 20 yards down the field, and Kirk fires it in there, and man, he floats it in there. He was floating those things in there for the defenders. So hopefully he gets his arm strength back this week. My wide receiver start of the week was a changeup. I had Jaden Reed in here, and yesterday on the Footcast that Mike and I were recording, we realized every question was, can I play Juwan Jennings? Juwan Jennings or this guy? It's like, hold up.
You're going to answer that question?
Juwan Jennings should be in your lineup. Juwan Jennings is a great start, and he is my start of the week. It's not common that I'm going to take a running back and a wide receiver from the same team, but it was one of those situations where I don't think people remember what happened. Okay, so just to catch you up on the Juwan Jennings story, he was great earlier in the year, got injured. Then after their bye, he came back, and Brandon Ayuk was gone, and he was 11 targets, 7 for 93. He was awesome. The next game, 11 targets, caught 10 of them for 91 and a touchdown, was awesome. Brock got injured. So the next game, they bring in the backup. Okay, in that game, he stinks. He's got 6.5 fantasy points. Well, sure, he was playing with a backup quarterback. The next week, which was last week, was the crazy snowball game where the Niners couldn't do anything, and Brock was not good in the snow against Buffalo. I'm throwing those two out. This week against Chicago, it's not a prime matchup, but Juwan Jennings is absolutely someone that he's not like to bring up the guys you were talking about, like the Nick Westbrook-Akine, the MVSs, the guys off the waiver wire. Those were all the questions we were getting, him or Juwan Jennings. I'm playing MVS in my league of record this week.
Yeah, but you'd much rather play.
I would love to have Juwan Jennings. That would not be that's where I'm confident that Juwan Jennings has targets and volume and opportunities, and that's enough on a week with this many bye weeks.
I'm going with Calvin Ridley to stack with my I'll give him, one sleeve of the underpants here. It's
like a two-legged race.
Yeah,
but they're in iron.
Three-legged race.
Whoa. That's
what the race is actually called.
Okay, thank you.
I got eyes from both of you guys. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's the name of the race, guys.
Okay.
I don't always know what type of joke you're trying to make, and I think we got
we got turned around.
We took the joke under the table.
Yeah.
Guys, I was in the backyard Olympics at the family picnic. Where are you?
It is a three-legged race.
Where are you?
A two-legged race is just a race. Right? That's just your standard race. We don't even specify the legs.
Wouldn't that be awesome in the Olympics if they just call it, and now with the two-legged race?
Two-legged race, yes.
All right, so it's Calvin Ridley. I know Westbrook-Akine is, he's making the news because he keeps scoring on 2 receptions every single week. But since Hopkins has left, Calvin Ridley has a 29% target share. That is elite. And the matchup, I like the matchup. I like Tony Pollard too.
Yeah.
I just like everybody against
you just
Jacksonville.
like the Tennessee offense to have a game.
I'll take the passing attack here.
I'm going with Fergalicious at tight end, Jake Ferguson. If for some reason he was out, it would be the Schoon man, whoever it is. Play him against Cincinnati. And guess what? I'm doubling up here because last week I think I got the most side-eye looks about Pat Freiermuth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was
And
that
the
was
Muth got
hot.
loose. Wait.
What?
He's never – how dare you?
I'm so
Loose.
close to getting a new tooth, guys. I'm so close.
Days away.
The reason I wasn't here yesterday is because I'm so close and needed to get some more tooth work done. But soon I'll say everything right. The Muth got it done last week against Cincy. Cincy cannot defend tight ends. It's just not something they do. They actually just lost another defensive player, which seems like an impossibility that their defense could get worse. But they're 31st against tight ends. Dallas tight ends are seeing 23% of targets with Cooper Rush. Fergalicious and or Schoonman will get it done.
That game is going to be great for fantasy.
Okay. I'm going to throw a guy out there that I think people are really upset with. If you've had him, if you've been starting him, you feel like you can no longer start
It's been rotten.
Cade Otton. It's been Cade Rotten, and don't go away from him this week.
Okay, I won't. I don't have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, you might not have a choice, but Cade Otton's matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders is so desirable. And if you look at Cade Otton, watch the film last week, a lot of it was on him. It was his fault. Like, he had some drops.
Should have had a touchdown.
But he still had 7 targets. He's very involved in this offense. He had 8 targets a couple weeks before on kind of a little bit more of a dud game. Baker is fully healthy right now. He's he's practicing in full. He had been struggling with ankle and toe and all sorts of different injuries. But despite the fact that he has not been good for 3 games in a row, the targets are there. That's what you want. He's third in all tight ends in the league in routes run, number 1 in total offensive snaps. This is a player on the field. And so now if you look at the matchup against the Raiders, over the last 6 weeks, the Raiders are dead last in schedule-adjusted fantasy points against. And I want to tell you just how extreme it is. It usually when a team is like they're 32nd, it's because they're 4 or 5 points over the average of what their opponent usually scores. That's how much more they're giving up. Right now, over the last 6 weeks, the Raiders are giving up 11.1 fantasy points more than the player's usual average. That's an insane number. So keep rolling Cade Otton. He should be fine this week.
Redemption.
And if you need a nasty boy off of the waiver wire, Will Disley, Big Montana, the Dizzler, all of those things. It was a goose last week, but he had been averaging over 4 receptions in the previous 7 games. And the Chiefs, the one place they can beat them is with the tight end position. And Ladd McConkey's
he's banged up. So, all right, we'll take a break. We'll hit the forecast. All right, time to preview our matchups for Week 14.
It's time for Fantasy Forecast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook.
Well, we know the story. You know the story out there. If you are competing, if you're listening, if you're in it for the fantasy playoffs, you know you don't have any Broncos. Bye-bye, Cortland Sutton. You don't got the Colts and Richardson and Taylor. You don't have the Commanders and your delightful Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. You don't have the Patriots, the Ravens, or the Texans either. So it's going to be a week where you got to piece it together. And here's what you can hope for: an equal disadvantage for your opponent. You are probably making decisions on players you don't want to have to play, but your opponent probably is too. So we're going to try to help you out, get you going. We'll start with the game that surprisingly had 3 players in the previous starts of the week segment. Jacksonville, who is 2-10, fighting hard for that number 1 spot, which I believe they have right now, facing the Tennessee Titans, who would love to lose this game and get there. Well, maybe not love to, but they're 3-9 in the DraftKings Sportsbook line here. Tennessee at home -3.5. The over-under 39.5. That gives Tennessee 21, Jacksonville 18. We've talked a lot about this game already. What are your thoughts beyond the names in the starts of the week?
I think that what you brought up during starts of the week is accurate. I worry that Mac Jones is not going to be able to do enough on the road against the Titans to really force a higher scoring game and a lot more fantasy greatness here. I think the real questions are on the ancillary receivers for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Parker Washingtons, Evan Ingram. Are these guys – because you're going to start Brian Thomas.
Yeah, I think you mostly in this situation the prescription is to what? Avoid ancillary options, right? Go with the primary guys. I believe despite Brian Thomas having a great fantasy week last week, he was still near the top in terms of like air yards not caught, right? Like
he caught 4 of his 10 targets.
Yeah, I mean, so like Brian Thomas is in. I thought you were actually going to bring up the running back room in Jacksonville and if you can do anything there.
Oh, man. That's a tough one. I mean, if I have to start one, it would be Travis Etienne. He's getting more volume. I'm not confident in either, but you might need that this week. I would shy away from Tank Bigsby personally. I think there's better options out there. But no, I just bring up Parker Washington because he was so involved last week. 12 targets,
how about
over 100 yards.
MBS or
I think I would go MBS there. I in this game with Nick Westbrook-Ikini. I mean, we've been saying this. I have said over and over you can't start him. He's scored a touchdown every time.
He's got the third best odds to score a touchdown in this game.
Now, honestly, I think you can start him, and I think people will, and he's gonna get you. He's gonna get you, Andy. You are doing this. You're starting him in League of Record after, and you've been pounding the table for the last month before it was cool.
Yeah, the hyphen.
You're saying
I'm putting him in.
He's on the field every snap. His opportunities are there, and he's been scoring touchdowns. And so now you're actually starting him. You enjoy your goose, your Christmas goose.
What happens though? Like, what is the apology tour going to be like if he gets back into the end zone this week? Because Jay, you've been calling for his demise. Like, if he keeps, what if he 3 touchdowns this week?
If he scores a touchdown this week, I will make a donation in his name.
Okay.
Because it. And I will recommend him as my start of the week every week from here on out for forever.
Outrageous. He's plus 185 on an anytime touchdown on DraftKings. And Mike, you talked about Ridley and Pollard.
Yep.
Both can be played. And then Levis, if you are wild, crazy, and wearing titanium underpants.
Just the same, man. It's like you read off all those quarterbacks that we are missing. And there are leagues out there that backup quarterbacks have been stashed.
He has a quarterback 9 finish this year. Which was against the Chargers on the road. So it's he could get there. The Jets are 3-9. The Dolphins are 5-7. The Jets are going to Miami. The DraftKings Sportsbook line is Miami -6. The over/under is 45. I mean, to say the vibes are not good for the Jets is an understatement. They're as bad as they've ever been. I don't want this conversation today to just be about how much we dislike how it's gone. Because that's the conversation with the Jets every week. Let's just focus on real essential questions here about Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Devontae Adams. Because
you start all 3. I mean, that's just the truth.
I agree.
The truth is you start all 3. Garrett Wilson in the last 3 games have been dud. But he's had the targets still. He had 10 targets this last week.
So many of them were uncatchable. Rodgers is not playing well, but if you watch the Jets game, he did actually have a couple really nice throws to Devontae Adams, and Rodgers for everything where he is in his career right now, the missed pass to Garrett Wilson that should have been a touchdown, he's not going to miss that every single time. So Garrett Wilson, the player, is still playing well, and we just need Rodgers to be a little bit better, which is not impossible.
Yeah, the target volume is there. So I can't imagine benching either one of Garrett Wilson or Devontae Adams. The expectation shouldn't be that you've got a wide receiver 1, but the volume is there, and you hope one of them gets a touchdown. The real question is Breece Hall, his health. I don't know if the practice reports are out yet for.
We're looking to see if we get a Thursday report on Breece Hall. If he doesn't practice Thursday, I'll be concerned.
Yeah,
if he doesn't practice Wednesday, it's like, okay, we're managing this injury that we've been managing.
The scarier part is, I mean, several times you could see him during the game last week where he played. Like, he didn't have these practices. He ends up playing. But you could see him on the side, and he is
not right.
He's not doing well.
That's terrifying. That's terrifying. We'll let you know if we get a report by the end of the show on Breece Hall today. On the other side, Tua Tagovailoa has 3 consecutive top 10 finishes at the quarterback position.
He's like reverse Tua-ing right now.
Oh, where he normally falls off in the back half of the year?
Yeah.
Well, that's because he skipped the first half, Mike.
This is his first half.
You know what I mean?
So
this is his first half. He's leading the NFL in completion percentage. He's got a superstar Hall of Fame tight end in Jonnu Smith.
He's leading the NFL in completion percentage because he's throwing the ball mostly to Devon Achane and Jonnu Smith and won't push the ball down the field.
Well, did you see the did you guys talk about Tyreek Hill's kind of cryptic tweet?
No.
Or Instagram post? He's kind of – he put something out there that I think shows him walking into the locker room and says – kind of alludes to the possible a possible retirement.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
And it kind of seems like they're retiring him right there on the field on certain weeks.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Tyreek has –
He had a cryptic post, and he said, "Love what you do because it will soon end."
Oh, my God.
And I've got
guys.
I'll share it with you guys. I'll repost it on my Twitter right now. But it's not like I'm hanging around.
This is absurd because we had the reports, whatever it was, 2 years ago of I'm going to finish out my contract with the Dolphins, and that's it. And that circulated like hot fire. He walked that back pretty quick, but it was out there enough to hit a news cycle, and then he just got money, right?
Well, they moved money around. Yeah, they kind of gave him an extension, but it was more like that Amari Cooper style thing where they gave him a bunch of money up.
It, sure. But you had that, and it was like, well, no, I'm going to keep playing, and now we're back to I'm not getting the ball.
He didn't practice.
Oh, man.
They're resting him like they do every week. Tyreek Hill or Juwan Jennings? Genuine question this week.
Oh, my gosh.
The Jets are still fourth against wide receivers. You know, I'm going to make it even worse. Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek Hill or Juwan Jennings. Both of those questions.
I will take
and I'll leave the studio.
I'll take Tyreek Hill over Jalen Waddle. He's still got a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games. He's he's not been special or elite, especially yardage-wise. You know, he's averaging 52 yards per game over that span. But Jalen Waddle, while it's nice to see him kind of be remembered, I still think the pecking order is Tyreek first. So I would play Tyreek over Waddle. I think Juwan Jennings versus Tyreek is a legitimate question that needs to be asked.
I don't think I'd have the stones to play Jennings.
I don't think I would either. I've got the fears that Stevenson from Chicago, I'm hoping he's focused on Debo or at least splitting, but if he were to be isolated.
You're talking about Jalen Johnson?
Or on yes.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson. Yeah. Tyreek, I think I'd still play him over. Jonnu Smith, you play him. He's been amazing since week 6. He leads all NFL pass catchers in first downs per route run. I had an interesting question. You're playing Devon Achane, right? But I had somebody send in this question. They said, who's the true backup, insurance back for Achane? Because we've been talking on the show.
Yeah.
Go out and get the guy and insure the guy. My answer to that was no one.
Yeah.
It was because it's Raheem Mostert or Jalen Wright. And the answer to me is no one. However, if you wanted to pick one, I'd pick Wright because you'd be looking at catastrophe. Like
which one would you pick then if you're going to get it correct?
Unlimited diarrhea.
Oh, you didn't like that one? I was about to say swish.
Because I said right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
Yeah. Take a lap.
All right.
Raheem Mostert, Jalen Wright.
Oh, he's really
taking a lap.
Around the table.
Okay.
Please don't kick the cameras.
I know. Very good. Very good. Is this new? I hope not. Mostert's just so uninvolved.
Oh, yeah, that's new. I'm going to make you take a lap someday.
Okay.
What's weird is because Achane is not playing, normal running back stuff here of 7 carries the past week, despite being like the primary guy. The offense would have to change so drastically of what they're running right now if Achane is not on the field. But if Achane's gone, then Tyreek Hill actually.
Do you know what his rushing attempts per game is on the year?
I would imagine around 11 a game.
Yes, you're the best guesser I've ever met in my life. Every time that I ask you to guess, you're right on.
It's from the former carnival job.
Yeah,
he was.
I can look at you. I know
he was
your
the height weight guy.
I know your weight. I can tell when your pockets are stuffed.
Wait, is that how you beat the system?
Well, of course that's how you beat the system. You get a skinny person and you put a little weight in the pocket. Well, no, I mean like a weight vest.
Some lead.
Yeah, I mean it's
not
easy
the
to
shoes.
No, I mean
How do you get
usually
them,
pockets,
but you can't get them to like you can't get your weight lower on the scale.
No, that's
not
some
possible.
people have been trying for a long time.
he's holding a bunch of helium balloons. Guess my weight. All right, Atlanta 6-6.
You're 50 pounds.
The Falcons are 6-6. They take on the 10-2 Minnesota Vikings. Mike was pointing out, everyone makes so much of the Detroit season, and here's Minnesota 1 game behind,
10-2, man,
still in contention for the bye. The DraftKings Sportsbook line here: Minnesota -5.5. The over/under is 46. If you don't remember, there is only one bye in each of the conferences, so it is. It will come down to the wire. I was on record. Now you guys previewed the game for tonight. I think it's what's the line? Because I didn't get to participate in that. What was the line on the Detroit Green Bay game? What is it right now?
I'll have to look it up.
Because I told Mike in the studio 2-3 days ago.
You did. I will verify it.
Detroit -3.
Yeah. So just
Andy's almost upset of the week.
this is the one. Yeah, I think Detroit loses this week. I think they lose tonight. Minnesota plays Atlanta at home. They can easily win that game. They're favored by 5.5. The over/under is 46. And all of a sudden
we could be set up for a week 18.
They face each other?
Yeah.
No,
oh, baby.
They face each other in week 18.
They do. So here's the Minnesota.
And they were so close in their first match.
The Minnesota schedule is Atlanta this week, maybe, but yeah, I would pick Minnesota. Chicago next week, I'll pick Minnesota. Seattle on the road, I'll pick Minnesota. At home against Green Bay, and then Detroit the final week. That's going to be be fun.
The point being that Minnesota's just right in the thick of it. The games haven't been decisive of late. They've been very close wins.
They're Chiefs-esque at the moment.
Yeah, they did not beat. They were not leading against Arizona until the final score with under a minute to go. What did they win by 3 points against? Was it Jacksonville? I mean,
Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've had some close games.
A couple weeks ago, though, like a month ago against Jacksonville, that was that game where they should have lost. They tried everything they could to lose, but Jacksonville wasn't good enough to beat them. I think it was like 12. They scored 12 points and won.
So in this game at home, I really like Sam Darnold. I really like Aaron Jones. I really like Justin Jefferson. I really like Jordan Addison. I think Jordan Addison is going to get it done in this one.
Okay.
Hawkinson, I'm feeling squeamish about TJ Hawkinson. Not that I wouldn't play him, but because there are these other, like Kate Otten you brought up, right? And then there's players that are emerging maybe at the tight end position that you would think twice about, whether it's Juwan Johnson getting going, whether it's Fergalicious. TJ Hawkinson has been weird. He's had 2 really good games and 3 really bad games.
Yeah, but they've gone back and forth.
And he is red light. Yeah.
So now it's a green light.
So you're all in there. But you'd play Kittle over him, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I would play Kittle for sure.
So the Minnesota side, they're set up against an Atlanta team that is 30th against the wide receiver position, 31st against quarterbacks. Sam Darnold was my streaming quarterback of choice, losing Lamar this week. I picked him up 2 weeks ago for this week. I'm playing Darnold. I'm trusting those explosive wide receivers, and I'm hoping Atlanta's functional enough to make it a game.
Yeah, that makes sense. On the running backs here on both sides of the ball, you've got Aaron Jones playing well, Bijan playing exceptional. The DK receptions line for both of these guys is I really like both.
3.5 for Bijan, 2.5 for Aaron Jones.
Yes, Bijan has just been getting it done. And when I watched that Kirk Cousins film, as hesitant as I was for the Darnell Mooney play, I was even more bullish on Bijan. I'm like, they need to use him the way that they're using him right now in the receiving game. Obviously, you're going to be playing him, but it's going to continue working in the passing game.
Yeah, that's what you're going to have to count on.
Yeah, I mean that's where
Minnesota's number 1 against the run.
Yeah,
if you're just handing the ball off.
Yeah, the passing game is where Bijan has been doing great work and is so needed for Kirk Cousins right now.
So you can kind of prescribe it the same way you did James Conner last week, where you said, hey, we're going to play Conner because he's going to get the rock and he's going to get the passing work. Kyle Pitts.
Oh, man.
Have the ceremony right now. He's retired for fantasy for this year.
Colossal NFL draft bust, colossal fantasy football rookie draft pick bust.
Yes, that is 100% true. He will be a cautionary tale for the future prediction of all generational talents. Some end up like Brock Bowers. Some end up.
One ends up like Brock Bowers.
You draft a tight end. I will say this. If you draft a tight end in the top 5, I'll do it again.
You'll do it again?
Yeah, like I'll be in on that guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Just
because
saying, for the cautionary tale, but it's like if you give me the same circumstances, I'm going to pick him every time.
Well, and he had a significant injury that he doesn't seem to have really made it back from.
Guys, he's 24 years old. We got a lot of Kyle Pitts talking left to do over the next 6, 7 years.
Can't wait for him to be 27 and break out.
Man, I hope we never.
It could happen.
I hope we don't have to keep talking. New Orleans, the Saints, 4-8, taking on the 2-10 New York Giants. Wow,
gross.
That's a fart fest. My favorite player in this is the New Orleans Saints defense. Yeah,
the DraftKings Sportsbook line, New Orleans -4.5 on the road, over under a 41. Drew Lock has been announced as the starter for the Giants. It is a slight upgrade over, what they had in Tommy DeVito. What they could really use is somebody like Daniel Jones to come in and take over as the starter, but they're not going to be able to do that.
No.
Both rushing defenses are terrible. So Tyrone Tracy and then Alvin Kamara, who, we can speculate on Kendre Miller and Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau and Jamal Williams. It's Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara will be the consolidation of opportunity, most valuable in the running game. His rushing and receiving line, DK line, is 124.5 yards. If you ask me how I overcome Mike's juggernaut team in our dynasty playoffs, I'm going to answer Alvin Kamara down the stretch. That's what I'm going to do because he has the potential to really finish the season strong.
Go Kendre Miller.
So, yeah, the fact that your hopes for that to stop are Kendre Miller makes me even more comfortable with it. Malik Neighbors has not been, listen to this, a top 24 wide receiver since week 4. That dude is up against it. It don't matter. Like he is the case of. Let me give you his last 4 games, okay? So you can understand what's going on at quarterback. His last 4 games, he is on pace for 182.8 targets in a season.
Oh, that is awesome.
All right.
Okay. He's on pace for 123.3 receptions.
Oh, that's
all right.
Exceptional.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
He's on pace for 1,000 yards.
Pretty darn good.
That's
not on that amount of receptions.
That's awful on that reception. And then 0 touchdowns. So the numbers for him are design screens, pretty terrible opportunities, and L's, right? They've lost a lot of ball games. I feel like Malik Neighbors has to be in start-sit discussions for people.
For all of that, he has been over 10 fantasy points in 3 of the past 6.
Yeah, the numbers that you are saying there, obviously efficiency-wise, awful, and scoring opportunities rare.
Not finished inside the top 25 in that stretch either.
But when you have that many targets and you have that much talent, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, you're not wrong. You've got to take a look at who you have. But I can't imagine.
Who did you say your favorite player in the game was?
The defense for the Saints?
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, I'm not saying you can't play him or shouldn't play him. I'm saying that your upside, when you talked about Jameis and Baker and you making the decision you're making, your Malik Neighbors upside, to me, it doesn't exist right now.
Man, it's hard. I mean, it's been true. It's 100% been true. I do feel like he's the type of player that can get schemed for a breakaway touchdown and therefore always has the upside just because of explosive athleticism. But it hasn't been happening.
Let me ask you this, Jason. I'm going to give you some names, okay?
Okay.
Malik Neighbors or Jameson Williams tonight against Green Bay at home.
Oh, man. I would probably play Malik Neighbors, and I feel like that might be wrong. I think Jameson Williams has a really good game tonight, and Jaden Reed as well.
Malik Neighbors or Juwan Jennings against Chicago.
I don't want to play this game.
You signed up.
I would go Malik Neighbors.
Devontae Adams.
Neighbors.
CeeDee Lamb.
Oh. I think I go Neighbors.
One of the top, the number one Malik Neighbors start sit question on the website is cross positional. It's Malik Neighbors in the flex or Chuba Hubbard.
I'd go Neighbors there.
Okay. Other names just to mention real quick before we mercifully move on from this game because you're not considering quarterbacks here. It's just the MBS lottery ticket. MBS had 3 targets last week, 4 the week before, and 3 the week before. He has scored in all 3 of those weeks. The truth of MBS is 100% if he doesn't score, you will be disappointed.
Yeah,
there's no real opportunity. I think
it's pretty easy. It's a fine play by the process, and I think
I'm not saying I wouldn't play him.
It's just really understanding what you're getting yourself into.
And for what it's worth, like the Giants defense is not a plus matchup for wide receivers on the season. Because this was one of the things I was looking at when I was trying to put MBS in my order. That one stuck out to me. Now, if he scores, you're happy. If he doesn't, you're probably getting 2 catches.
Yeah, the offense of the Giants won't do enough, which is why the running game of the opposing teams do well, which is also why I think, and I know we glossed over it a little bit, and you're 100% right that Alvin Kamara is the stud of studs. Always start him. He's going to be fantastic. But I think that there are teams out there that need a starter at running back that could actually put Kendre Miller in your lineup, start this week.
That's outrageous to me.
I don't think it is that outrageous. He is very healthy. He was running full speed sprints his first week on the IR, and the Rizzler has been asked questions about like Kendre Miller. This is a quote from Nick Underhill talking about Kendre Miller being out of the doghouse and on good terms with Darren Rizzi. Nick Underhill, great beat reporter for the Saints. Quote, "We're going to let that dog off the leash. I'm ready to get out there and bark a little bit."
Oh,
so
dog analogies.
I just think he's a good player who is in a good matchup. They need him without Taysom Hill. I mean, I get it. He's a backup.
Terrifying.
It's terrifying.
I wouldn't do it this week. I mean, Jamal Williams also is back last week, and
Jamal Williams is burnt toast.
Burnt toast or not, if he's the one on the field and Kendre Miller isn't, you won't get any points from Kendre Miller.
Yeah, that is.
Didn't Jamal Williams get like 1 touch last week?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was on the field for 6% of snaps.
Yeah, 1 target.
Yeah, I mean, Kendre was on the field for 0.
I think Kendre Miller is a great speculation ad. I don't have the courage to play him this week.
Dude,
this will be a victory lap.
I'm going to pick him up and start him in League of Record. I'm going to make the playoffs on the back of Kendre Miller.
But having said that, like I do.
Go do that.
Go do it. I'm on it.
Go do it.
The world, I think there is a very decent chance that the number 1 pickup of next week's waiver wire is going to be Kendre Miller. So just stash him right now.
I am prepared to be wrong about this. Yeah, I would be so outrageously nervous to start him on the back of just the head coach saying he's not in the doghouse, but who knows?
Off the leash.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
Woof, woof.
We're still waiting for his first bark in the NFL.
That's true.
Still waiting for the first one in 3 years. All right, we'll take a break, come back with some more matchups, and see what you think about Bryce Young this week. All right, the Panthers are 3-9, taking on the 10-2 Philadelphia Eagles, who are on a roll. The DK Sportsbook line, Philly minus 12.5. The over-under is 46. They have won 8 in a row. Their defense is dominant, and that is the problem with this game. The problem with this game, for fantasy purposes, for the Panthers, is how good the Philadelphia defense is. This is, it was fun to watch Bryce Young last week. Should have won the ball game. Let me be clear. Tampa sucks. Their defense sucks. This is the opposite of that. Philadelphia at home in this game, I just don't have the confidence here that Bryce Young can do enough. It's one of the reasons why Hubbard is getting sat down by a lot of people in fantasy. It's one of the reasons that, look, I'm not fighting to play Thielen and Leggett this week. If you need a PPR start, I'm okay with Thielen.
So you're not Chuba's DK rushing yard line at 58.5. You're not feeling good on that one?
No, I'm actually not.
Yeah,
I'm actually not feeling good. And you talk about Jonathan Brooks getting on the field more last week and getting third down opportunities. Chuba had the big fumble.
That feels like a good under.
Yeah, and it feels like Jonathan Brooks in the second half will get some play.
And it's not even just third down. Like there was a sequence where they were around the goal line.
They were inside the 10,
and Brooks got multiple looks
in both the rushing and receiving game. So it didn't end up in a touchdown, but it was high value, real important plays that Brooks got.
Chuba's a great player. I'm just scared about this matchup because I don't think you're going to be. There's not going to be a lot of that game clock where you're in the circumstance that you would want to try to run Chuba and not give Brooks opportunities. And on the other side, holy crap, Saquon Barkley. His rushing line, guys.
Oh, I don't know it. I can't see it right now.
It's because your eyes are closed.
I'm gonna guess 92.
You're a coward.
Oh, is it over 100?
Yeah.
No.
Keep going.
110?
More.
What? His rushing line?
114.5.
Oh, my gosh. I'm
Because-
playing against him this week.
See you. Oh, he will.
He will.
Barkley will handle it swiftly.
It's okay. I'm going to have Kendre Miller
And
to the rescue.
he's going for records and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Carolina's defense is dead last. They're giving up 166 yards a game against running backs. Teams run the ball 51% of the time against them, which is the highest in the NFL in the last 12 years. So the recipe works, and everyone's doing it. It's like you pick the favorite on the menu. Like, what's the chef's special? It's hand the ball off against Carolina and win.
Yeah.
By the way, Saquon's averaging 124.9 a game.
Yeah, and the matchup is perfect, so unbelievable.
So, yeah, I mean, Devontae Smith probably, that's the one that you're terrified of. If he's active, do you play him? Because it's not that the Panthers' passing defense has amazing personnel and they're dominant. It's that you don't throw against them, and so they're sixth in the league against wide receivers, and then he's coming off an injury. Like, to me, I'm trying to find another.
I would agree. I'm hoping Devontae Smith is kind of not even there, just so you're not tempted to play him. It allows the work to be funneled to A.J. Brown. I feel like A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley alone by themselves can just beat the Panthers with the best defense in football. I mean, their defense, like, they had a couple holes last year, and somehow they turned them all into massive strengths. You just can't do much. They just shut down Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who only scored 19 points against them last week, and the 19 points includes the garbagiest of garbagey end-of-game touchdown with 7 seconds left that was meaningless and worthless. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about any Panthers. I will say the Thielens and David Moores and those, they're in a PPR world, they're going to have to be thrown at a lot in this game.
And then I want to throw out the name. Look, Dallas Goedert is not expected to play.
Oh, yes.
Grant Calcaterra, that name has been mentioned earlier in this season. But it's, in those games where he was getting actual real snaps, he was seeing like 16 or 70% of the targets. So in desperate times, I think that he
What were
could
those
be
numbers
played.
you just said? He was getting what?
16 to 17% target share.
Yeah.
I heard 70.
No,
That
no.
seems high.
No, and Dallas Goedert.
He had one game this year where he was 4 for 67, and he looked pretty good.
Yeah, and this is a perfect matchup. Schedule adjusted, they're 30th. The Panthers are against tight end. If Devontae Smith is out and Dallas Goedert is out, Grant Calcaterra is a very nice, cheap option.
And I mentioned him. We'll mention it really quick. If it was Thielen or Leggett, if you have to put one in, the name for you is
This week specifically, it would be the PPR upside of Adam Thielen.
the Browns are 3-9, taking on the 9-3 Steelers. We've talked a little bit about this game already earlier with Jason's start of the week of Jameis Winston. The DraftKings Sportsbook line here, Pittsburgh -6.5. The over-under is 43.5. Cleveland beat them in Week 12. That was the fun game where, Jameis finished it in the snow, bumbling and tumbling and flipping into the end zone. Nick Chubb scored twice in that game. The Steelers, listen to this stat. If you want a shocking stat, they have won 20 consecutive home games against the Browns.
Wow.
20 straight games at home against the Browns. You said you were praying for more pick sixes. I do think that there's a balancing act there, right? Like, you've got to be, I think 1 to 2 is the right number.
Yeah.
And beyond that, you're not going to give him the chance to throw.
You still get negative points for interceptions, so they've got to be. I want him early, and let's cap it at 2.
He is, I think, and you'd admit this, he is a risk to some degree in this specific matchup.
Yes,
but the upside potential is there where other quarterbacks don't have it.
He's not for everyone. He is a situational.
I love that.
He is a situational need when you
Jameis is not for everyone.
up against it. And
but if you want to have a good time,
yeah, I mean, you can have a really bad time.
I'm better than this. I'm better than this.
Yeah, this is a 50-50 lottery ticket.
Russ is my stream of the week at home, playing great football. You want to just another feather in the cap for Mike Tomlin. Like nobody believed in the move. Nobody in the media. Probably half the players in the locker room secretly who would never admit it to Mike Tomlin.
The players actually came out and really the way that they supported Fields when the change was made, they weren't coming out and saying I disagree with it, but they were saying that.
They're now 5-1. They are scoring 1 million points. Russ is having, I don't know if you realize this, Russ is throwing for more yards per game for the Steelers than he's ever done in his entire career. This is his record. More yards per game for Russell Wilson.
Wild.
So if it's me and I'm looking at this game and it's Russ versus Jameis, Russ is safer to me. Jameis could have the wheels completely fall off, but I think, both guys can score a bunch of points. I mean, Russ put up a lot last week. You need the game to be what we want it to be. Now, the over-under is 43.5. That says it's not going to be.
Yeah, no, it's not expected to be. There's also a chance of a little bit of rain in this. So if weather becomes an issue, pay attention closer, to kickoff, and that could hurt the upside. But, I think that there are a lot of pieces in this game on both sides that I want. Najee Harris has been outstanding as far as opportunities, 20-plus opportunities per game. He has the best odds in this game at an anytime touchdown on DraftKings. Russ, your stream of the week is fine. George Pickens with the moon balls has been great. So,
how do you feel about Nick Chubb?
Not as good.
I wouldn't do it.
He had his best game against these Steelers, but last week looked bad.
Yeah, and
you saw Ford. Yep,
Jerome Ford was on the field a ton, and especially I know they won last time, but I don't think that's what I'm going to project. So I would be afraid of Chubb.
Would you play Jerry Rice in this one?
Yeah, Jerry Rice, Judge Judy. Let's go, baby.
Did you just do a double up?
A double up. A Jerry Rice, Judge Judy is. You have to start. You have to start.
Yes, you
Jerry
have
Judy.
to start him.
Do you know he went from 30th in yards to 5th in yards?
I did see that.
235 will do that.
The Cedric Tillman didn't practice again on Wednesday. That one is. Yeah, Jason's face is that.
Is that what that was the reaction to?
It wasn't, but
okay. Well,
what was your reaction there?
I looked at the 5 games played with Jameis to see what the yardage pace is.
He's averaging 112 yards a game.
He's on pace for 2,087 yards.
But Tillman not practicing this long after the concussion, that's very troublesome. But then the window opening would be Elijah Moore, who's averaging almost 10 targets a game. And especially, if Tillman is active, Elijah Moore is still, I think, a flex consideration. But if Tillman is out, then you should feel very confident playing Moore.
Njoku, yep, get him in there for sure. He is a great play down the stretch. Let's turn to the Parlay Partay.
Oh,
I couldn't remember.
Oh.
I couldn't remember what I was this week, but apparently,
what a crown again?
I'm putting a crown on this
crown
week.
again
All
for
three
me.
of us have got the. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, there's a clown in the room.
Oh, dead center. Dead center.
Yeah.
So last week I took Tua with 225 plus. He had 365. Mike took Rico Dowdle, his hero, his champion.
Thank you, Rico.
His prince, if
Thank
you want to
you.
keep the courtroom.
Wait, where is Rico on the? Is he into the top 20 yet? No, he's not.
No,
but we're gonna get there, baby.
I had Gibbs drop he had towards the end of the game. He had an easy pass that
Jason,
he dropped.
I'm gonna tell you the way you put your wig on. There was no heart in the way that you put your wig on.
Really? It looks good on
I
camera.
can see your
It's the
entire hat over. On
It's the front side.
They can't.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just one slight breeze and the wig goes flying. Thank you.
So Mr. Moore took Jahmyr Gibbs over 2.5 receptions. He had 2. He dropped one with 7 minutes in the fourth and ended up a clown. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. We'll jump into the Week 14 parlay. I'm going to take Trey McBride, the machine, the PPR monster, the touchdown. It don't matter because I'm taking 60-plus receiving yards against Seattle. He's averaging 71 per game. He's got 12 catches in 2 straight weeks. I like the 60-plus.
I'm going to take Aaron Jones over 2.5 receptions against Atlanta. Atlanta is one of the teams I try to target for running back reception overs. They allow the 4th most per game at 5.8. Aaron Jones is averaging 3 receptions in wins and 3.5 receptions at home. He's hitting the over in 5 of his 6 home games. So I think this is a good I said it in the matchup, but I like both running backs overs on their receptions this week.
And I'm going Mike Evans, 60-plus receiving yards. Normally, I'm like, great, Mike Evans against Las Vegas. But I'm also legitimately factoring this in. Mike Evans can still get to his 1,000 yards and keep that streak alive. And I know deep down in my heart that matters to Mike Evans. And
for sure.
And it matters. It will matter. And so facto, it will matter to Baker Mayfield, who is going to try his best to get him there.
All right, that was Fantasy Forecast presented by DraftKings Pick 6. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use the code BALLERS. That is the code BALLERS for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. One quick aside, since I missed yesterday's preview of the game and with the news this morning of Dobbs that we're reporting.
Yeah.
I will be riding on Super Bye Week with a Dontavian Wicks in tonight's game.
There's nothing wrong with that.
With a high over-under trying to catch some lightning in a
You
bottle.
putting him in over Westbrook-Ikhine?
I have them both in my lineup.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's how bad. That's how bad my week is going. But above, like I was looking at Josh Palmer. I was looking at some of these, with Lad McConkey maybe missing, but then he's going to play.
Wicks was in on 89% of the snaps.
It was his highest of the year last year.
Yeah.
So if you want a little dart throw for tonight's game, you talk about a game where you can't run the football well. Jacobs banged up. Detroit's good against the run. Look to Wicks, Watson, and Reed to be the weapons, and we'll close it out on that. More matchups tomorrow. The delicious and wonderful fantasy face-off. Got to figure out which one of you guys is getting shamed. I think it's Mike.
It's me. Goodbye.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits expire in 6 months. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.